I have something to tell you guys. So, do you know how when you guys say, like, oh, May, like, she's my friend, I actually don't like the words she and her anymore. And I like to go by they. Yeah.
It?
Which, no, I don't like it. Some people do, but for me, not so much. But, do you guys know what that term is called? Like, how your friend is transgender?
He.
He? Mm-hmm. Not sure?
Not sure.
In second grade-ish time, we were doing a bug unit, and we had to list out of 5 different bugs, like what your favorite was. And all the girls said butterflies. They're my favorite. I love them so much. And all the boys were really disgusted in the idea of liking butterflies. And me, as someone who didn't really want to be associated with like girls, I was like, oh yeah, I hate butterflies because all the boys hate butterflies, so I should hate butterflies too. And, you know, I remember this one kid in my class, he was a boy, and he was like, oh, I like all bugs, you know? And I remember being like, you can't, because you're a boy and boys don't like butterflies, you know? And so at a very young age, I remember having extremely distinct versions of what boys liked and girls liked. And so I would do a lot of mannerisms that boys would do because I wanted to act like them. And I don't know why I wanted to, it's just what I did. So I would spit on the ground, like, it was so stupid. Like, I would see a boy spitting, I'd be like, I'm gonna spit now, because boys do that.
What is non-binary? Can you define it?
I would say it's different for everyone. For me, I think being non-binary means working outside the category of man or woman and kind of using neutral terms and neutral language to express gender.
It's young people who, I guess, consider their sexuality as they want it. They don't see themselves, I guess, really as taking on a female role or a male role. They're just out there being who they are. Mm-hmm. And so they don't see themselves as any one specific type of, like, you know, I see myself as a guy.
Like that. I'm a guy.
You know?
Really just being who you are. Like, if you're feeling like leaning into like certain traits that might be considered feminine or masculine, just like doing it.
Dude, you were like the first person I came out to. I think I was on the phone with you. I was like, I think I'm gonna start using they, them pronouns. And you were like, yes, like finally! I don't know how old I was, probably like 7 or something around there. And prepubescent. And I was standing in front of like a big mirror in my parents' bedroom, and I was just wearing shorts, and my mom was in the room too. I was like, Mom, like, I look like a boy. And my mom was like, no you don't, sweetie. I was like, oh, I didn't mean it as a bad thing. So I look back on that now and I'm like, yeah, I was very neutral about it. It wasn't like, oh, like I look like a boy. It was just kind of like an observation. I was just like, that makes sense. I feel like I didn't think about it for a really long time because maybe from that moment on I was like, oh, so it's not good to look or resemble or act like a boy. Like, the way my mom responded, you know, very dismissive, like, it was almost, I think she was trying to reassure me, like, no, like, you look like a girl, because that's what you are, right? When at the time I was like, I was a kid and I didn't have all these, like, gender norms completely instilled in me yet.
To be honest, I've never ever thought about my gender, like, or my, is that it? My pronouns have never
Yeah, that's your gender.
changed. I've never
Like, you've
even
always felt like she, her is good. I'm cool with that.
I've always loved being a girl. And that's why I was so mad at you when we were little, because I was like, why don't you love being a girl? But I think the reason that you had such a hard time with the parents growing up was because you weren't acting like a girl. Like, you weren't acting in the girl that Julie and I were. Or was, I guess. Because Julie and I were, like, so girly girl that it was like, oh, and then there's May. And something's wrong with May. You always wanted to cut your hair. Like, you always wanted to have short hair. And Dad always really liked having super long hair. And he was, like, obsessed with all of us having really long hair. At least all the girls when we were little. And I didn't even view you as a girl. I was just like, that's May.
Yeah.
It's me and May.
First or second grade, you told Mommy that I wish I was a boy, boys have it better.
Mm-hmm.
Or words to that effect. I can't quote exactly.
Being non-binary is also being transgender to me. So
Okay.
It's more about gender and not who I'm attracted to, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Do you have questions about that? Or it's just kind of...
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's an okay.
Yeah.
I think I've got about as much understanding as I'm going to get. It's very, very confusing, and it's very, very fluid, and I'm working on it. But it's not something that's the top of my list. It's not something I really, really like at all, because I'm walking into a minefield of political correctness with pronouns, which I didn't want. I'm trying to do the right thing here. I'm trying to do my best. The biggest hang-up I have with Day is that the word's already used. You're making things so vague that we can't have a proper conversation.
If I were to say, oh, I don't use she, her pronouns, I use he, him pronouns, that would be fine?
I'd have a hard time calling you a he, him, because you were born female and that's how I think and know you.
You dressed more boyish, you know, than you weren't into the girly stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just saw you as, you know, someone who was, you know, just wore blue jeans and ran out and had fun, right?
When I was around like 18, 19 with COVID and just kind of having time to like reflect on my gender and things like that, I kind of started to experiment with being non-binary and even being feeling more closer to being like a boy than a girl. Right. Now that I've told you that, like, how do you feel? Do you feel like you have questions or
no? You know, I don't.
In any way?
You know, it's like I said before. It's your bed. You have to sleep in it. I mean, I can appreciate, you know, how you feel about yourself. It doesn't affect me. Okay. I think what's interesting or what's important is the fact that you're happy in your life and you're willing to go jump those hurdles that you may have to jump.
I wanted to talk to you about it because you're honestly one of my role models and good friends, and you've seen me grow up, so I wanted to share it with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's nice. You know, I was always there for you guys if you needed just to come and talk to me.
I definitely gravitated towards more feminine things at certain times. Definitely, I've tried on my mom's heels. I've definitely done that. Like, been in her closet. Like, I remember walking up and down the hallway in my old house, just like feeling really like cool. I don't know. I thought it was very cool. Even though heels do suck, it was fun to be different, and it definitely felt like kind of shame for that. Looking back, just with being gay, I think I always knew there's a part of me that I felt different from other people, even though I didn't exactly know what that was at the time. I think kids definitely sometimes react a lot better than as adults, just because they don't have these like weird like quote unquote norms already pushed into them about maybe what like gender should be. So they're super open to like just really exploring like whoever you are and just see you as like a person rather than like a boy or a girl. I feel like if I as a kid had known somebody who didn't exactly fit the norm, I definitely would have been more open to like putting myself out there and doing things maybe that I enjoyed more that were considered feminine. It probably would have helped me accelerate my journey into like my own sexuality and stuff a lot faster and feel a lot better about it rather than having like so much shame for so long. So
Saoirse, who are you holding? Show the camera.
Kitty cat.
Yes. Perfect. Do you guys know how like there's like boys and girls?
Yeah.
Right? And you were saying something about in between. What do you mean by that?
People who are... I know. They can change into boys or girls. A girl can change into a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Like my friend.
Your friend?
Yeah.
You want to tell me about your friend? I would love to hear.
So it used to be a she, but she didn't like that, so she became a he.
But me personally, I like they and them.
Why?
That's why. I feel like it feels more neutral than he or she. And I don't know. If someone were to be like, hey, Kira, he's really good at math. Like, would you be like, that's not how I feel, right? Yeah. It's called non-binary. Have you heard of that before?
Yeah.
What do you know about non-binary?
No gender or both?
Mm-hmm. Just like kind of in between almost. Are you confused?
Nope.
No?
I think it's normal for anyone to be what they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
The American dream.
Is that the American dream?
No.
Is that what they teach you?
No.
Is that what they teach you in middle school? And I've had like chest dysphoria since like 6th grade. I swear to God. I have never been comfortable in my chest. As soon as we had the puberty talk and they were talking about growing boobs, I was like upset, like really angry.
When May hit middle school, May became a lot more combative to everyone, but you became more combative with yourself.
I remember talking to my mom and saying, why do I have to go through all this? Like, I don't want my period. I don't want to have boobs. Like, why is this happening? Like, it felt like a disease almost. It's just being trans. But
like, you hid behind so many things because you were like, I don't want anyone to comment on the way I look. I want them to just think of me as a smart person who is the president of this club and treasurer of this club and on this sports team and plays this sport and I blah blah blah. And
like when I started going through puberty, I would like bang on, like my desk would be here and I would like push my chest against it so that, I don't know, I thought that if I like did it enough, it would stop growing, which didn't work. And lately I've been using trans tape to kind of like flatten my chest. And I just want to preface again, like, not just trans people go through this. There's plenty of people out there who use these products because of dysphoria that has nothing to do with their gender. Like, why do people get breast reduction surgeries? Why do people get nose jobs, for example? It's not just a trans issue, but I think gender and body dysphoria is a really big part of my experience as a trans person. And it's not the same for everyone. Some people don't ever experience dysphoria. I had a friend recently get top surgery and they're just so much happier. Like, you can just see it in like their demeanor, and they'll take their shirt off and like show off their scars, and it's like, I don't know, it's so vividly like joyful. I just feel a lot of like joy seeing someone else like having that, you know, experience. And I can't wait to start that for me, you know, even though it's pretty daunting of a operation and stuff like that. I wish that I could give my younger self the biggest hug in the entire world. Because I think that they were really struggling, like, mentally, but in a way that suppressed so much that I wasn't able to figure this out till, like, so late in life, like, so much later in life. If I was more supported as a kid, and if my family ever talked about mental illnesses or gender in this way, I feel like I would have gotten this idea faster, and I could have been a lot safer about it when I was growing up. I just want trans kids to be protected over anything else, because they deserve it.
I would definitely tell younger D to be less concerned with other people and how they're going to perceive me, and be most concerned with what feels good to me, and just to, like, have fun and try different things that maybe I've never tried before, or that might even feel like wrong to try, because so often the things that you're taught are wrong or taboo are just more ways to keep you in your place.
I think life is really just like a collection of rules and standards that we put ourselves in, and it's so unnecessary sometimes, where, like, you can just really be a person and do your thing.
You have to mess up. You will mess up. I mess up. Everyone messes up. I mess up with non-binary friends, or I mess up with, like, people who are transitioning still. It's a part of life, and I feel like people don't understand that when non-binary and trans people get upset when you don't say their pronouns correctly is because it gets so tiring, like mentally and emotionally tiring for them and for me. Just try your best. You know, it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. It takes time. But if you really love me, you would do this. You're not doing anything to make yourself look bad. You're just respecting people. So I think that's a huge part of it. Just, like, reassuring them, like, you are not going to be perfect, but you are trying your best, and I appreciate it and I see it. Candidly, I feel like you've been very good about my pronouns, and I can tell that you're trying.
Oh, that's good news. Until this very moment, I didn't know that I had done anything right.
I think what's really great about transness and non-binary people is how they're actively saying, this isn't the way I want to live my life, and, like, I wish that people continue to put the work in to support trans people. I don't know, I want people to be safe and happy and healthy, and, like, that goes for all people, not just trans people. But I think when it comes to trans people, others who are super against it see it as a threat to their own lives, and the way that you're supposed to raise a family, for example, or the way that you're supposed to be in general.
I think it's normal.
You think it's normal?
People can be what they want to be.
God made the dirt, and dirt doesn't hurt until you tell the earth it's worthless. And you're just an awful person, and a breastbone can be purchased, but we can't go in the churches. And I love you, but I'm nervous. I love you, but I'm nervous.